What's up again, guys? Welcome to Tip Tuesday. Here's 2 quick tips for the beginning of Tip Tuesday. Tip number 1, if you want to take advantage of our opening COVID-19 special, you only have a couple of days left to take advantage of that, so get on it. The other thing, I have a tip for myself. When doing live videos, it's pretty hard to do it while having COVID-19. Yeah, that definitely happened. It kind of messed with my brain a little bit, if I'm honest. I just didn't feel 100% and my thoughts were not flowing very well. Doing live videos is difficult enough when you're sitting basically talking to yourself. It's a little bit awkward. I mean, I'm sitting here literally talking to my screen, which is just a reflection of me. I've got my laptop here, I've got some notes, I've got some questions to answer, but basically I really don't enjoy doing the live videos as much as I would teaching a class in person. I love to feel the energy of the room, the energy of the people. I like to get questions, I like to bounce off people. So it's pretty tough actually just sitting here and trying to gather up all the energy that you possibly need to try and make this fun and exciting. I'm doing my best. Apologies for the last 2 weeks. I wasn't 100% myself. I'm pretty sure that I did have COVID-19, which wasn't too hectic for me. I really look after myself. It's very high priority for me just to be looking after myself, being healthy, being active. I have been my whole life. I'm not so young anymore. I am 32 years old, so I'm maybe in that kind of middle age category. But to be honest, it never really hit me very hard. I had very mild symptoms, very mild infection, well, kind of like phlegm in my chest, no real shortness of breath or anything like that. So I was really lucky, and I'm feeling a heck of a lot better today. So let's see if I can keep this nice and short, sweet, and fun. Hopefully it's fun. I'm hoping making it fun for you guys. So what have we covered in Tip Tuesday before? We went over one of the questions that I had, which was, what was your number 1 health and fitness tip? If you go back to video 2, you'll be able to see the answer to that. I spoke a little bit about our ambassadors and when they've been chosen. I think that was also video number 2. In terms of the rolling classes that I've been teaching, I've already covered homeostasis. So what homeostasis is and how it plays a role in your exercise and your eating plan. I've also gone through the different types of movements, isolation, compound, isometric. Claudia, thank you for checking in on me. I just got a message from you, obviously, on our video. Let me give you a quick wave at everyone that's here joining me live. Yes, I am fine. Thank you for checking in. I'm feeling a heck of a lot better. It's been 2 weeks now since I started presenting symptoms, but if you want to see what it looked like in terms of the worst day I actually had was 2 weeks ago Tuesday. So Tip Tuesday number 2 video is where I was actually feeling my absolute worst. So if you go back and you check that video, and you can see that I had to clear my throat a couple of times. It wasn't all that hectic though. Like I said, that was the worst day. My last week video, I was just low on energy, and that's basically as bad as I just wasn't really feeling very clear. My mind wasn't very clear. Otherwise, last week's video, I was pretty much feeling okay, but just, like I said, collection of thoughts wasn't as great. And let me just quickly finish off what I was saying. So video number 1 and video number 2 of Tip Tuesday, if you want to find out about homeostasis, watch those 2 videos. Last week, which was our 3rd video, we spoke about the different types of movements, the isolation movements, the compound movements, the isometric movements, and I tried to go over when to use which ones, which were the most effective, and just the basics of when you use those different exercises in your plan. So which comes first, which comes second, what comes third, how do you order things when you're kind of putting together an exercise plan for yourself. So the idea of these videos is that I'm giving you the information that you would need in order for you to be your own personal trainer. I feel that people need to be empowered to be able to look after their own bodies so that they know what to do and how to kind of change things around if they're looking to feel better, if they're wanting to look better, and if they also just don't want to be so confused and scared of eating certain foods or exercise in a certain way over and over again and not getting the results that you're looking for. If you do join our Train Me Academy plan, you have the benefit of someone, me, that understands all of the principles that I am really trying to teach you. Even though I'm going over the very, very basics, it's very important to know how everything fits together, because the benefit of being an exercise specialist is that I understand the different zones and the different responses that you can get from the body depending on what you are looking to achieve. I've not only studied them, but many of them I've actually tried on my own body. In the past, we have spoken about the different zones that you can go into when you are talking about resistance training, when you are in an anaerobic zone, which is endurance, muscle building, strength, and power. So I have pretty much very extensive experience in the power zone when I was doing Olympic weightlifting. Strength zone, Olympic weightlifting, I will go through strength cycles in order to get my power up. I spent about 4 years in total basically just concentrating on Olympic lifting, so I have extensive knowledge on how to get results and what the kind of results that you can get from power and strength training. From the muscle building training, when I first got involved in the fitness kind of industry, I basically wanted to have that bodybuilder style look, not really bodybuilder, kind of a fitness model style look. And for about 3 years, I did nothing but train in the muscle building zone. So I understand the principle extensively, because I understand what you need to do and how you need to program in order to be there. Also these other two, but I also have got that kind of physique look based from doing a certain kind of training. And now, since I've been living in Cape Town for the last 2 years, I have been focusing a lot on the endurance zone. So I'm going to talk more about these zones and how to get in them in my next video, because Tip Tuesday, spoiler alert, next week I am going to be talking about how to do strength and cardiovascular tests, which ones you do, which tests you do for what, depending on what you're trying to achieve, and then also how to work out your certain percentages so that you can fit yourself into these zones and basically start making sure that when you are exercising, that you are doing it for the correct purpose, for the correct response, whatever that is. The two main categories that you can kind of get in your response in terms of responses from the body is, most people want a certain look. So if you want your body to look a certain way, which zone that you should be focusing on. And the other main category is an athletic category, which basically would, if you'd fall under that, if you have a certain athletic goal, if you want to run a certain amount of distance in a certain amount of time, if you want to be competing in things like CrossFit competitions or triathlons, or you're more focused on how your body moves and how your body responds to movement than you do about the way that it looks. So in my line of working with people that I've worked with, most of them, well, I'm putting up 4 fingers, most of them fall into the look category. They want to look a certain way. They also want to feel a certain way. And so next week, I'm going to be going into more detail about how those kind of fit into the picture, and like which one you should be selecting based on what result that you want to get. Because a lot of people make this mistake. Let me just give you a quick spoiler for the things that people make big mistakes with. Me, as a guy, I thought that if I trained in the power and the strength zone, if I was lifting lots of weight and getting my strength up, that it would give me that muscular look that bodybuilders and fitness models have. That is completely not how that works. So if you are a guy watching this video and you are doing strength training on power training, an example of strength training is the 5x5 method, which means you do 5 sets of 5 repetitions at heavy weights. You're not going to be getting that muscular big look if that's what you're going for and you're doing that kind of training. On the flip side, if you are a woman, I'm generalizing here, I'm generalizing just for the purpose of this example. I find a lot of women exercising the endurance zone and they're actually looking to tone their body. They want toned legs, they want to get rid of cellulite, they want to get rid of belly fat, they want to get rid of the stuff that kind of starts accumulating under your arms, and they work out in the endurance zone. They do fitness classes like aerobic classes, and they go for 10-kilometer runs. And ladies, you are working in the wrong zone to get if you're looking for that result, you are actually working in the incorrect zone. So you're welcome. I'm just giving you what I'm going to be going through next time. Okay, let's focus on this video right now. We're already 11 minutes in. Let me first start off with questions before I get into the difference between the aerobic and the anaerobic zone. And I'm also going to be talking a little bit about the VO2 max, because you can't really speak about these two without bringing up VO2 max. We have a couple of questions actually. Let's see how fast I can bang out these questions, but also give as much detail as possible. So my first question I'm going to answer today is, what is the impact on your appetite when you weight train, and why? This is a really, really good question, okay? When you're doing weight training, you will find that your appetite should be increasing. You'll feel more hungry, maybe more often, or you'll feel that you need to eat more food in order to feel satisfied. Why does this happen? The reason it happens is when you are weight training, you are basically working in a zone, in the anaerobic zone. Most of the time when you're using weights, you should be in your anaerobic zone. And when you are working in your anaerobic zone, you are burning something, a muscle fuel, a type of fuel in the body called ATP, okay? Without getting too complicated so that you just like things go over your head, ATP is produced by the body basically through the means of the food that you eat. So when you burn that energy in order to move your body in a certain way, so when you're doing anaerobic training, your body is burning that energy fuel and it becomes depleted of it. In order for it to make more of it, it needs to take from the different resource or places that your body kind of stores energy. So glycogen can be stored in the muscle, glycogen can be stored in the liver. You basically getting that fuel from the stuff that you eat. So when you are needing to replenish that, your body is going to be craving calories because it's burnt the calories that it's had and in its stores, and it wants more of that so that it can build the muscle that you're basically asking it from exercising like that. And as a result, again, going back to our homeostasis principle, as a result of that, you are going to feel hungry. Your body is trying to normalize its blood sugar. It's trying to normalize under the conditions that you're putting it under. The conditions that you are putting it under is you are asking the muscle to work at an intensity that burns ATP, which is fuel that your body creates out of the foods that you eat. So this is a really good lineup question to start speaking about the topic that we have today, which is aerobic training versus anaerobic training, okay? Anaerobic training happens when you are exercising at a high enough intensity that you are past your VO2 max level. Neil, what is VO2 max? Well, I'm glad that you asked that question, guys, because it's really important that you know this, and I don't just say VO2 max and pretend like you know what's going on. VO2 max is the limit the limit of the intensity that your body can train at while using oxygen as its main energy source. Anything above your VO2 max level line, you're going to be using mainly ATP as your energy source. We spoke a little bit about ATP earlier. I'm hoping that you understand what that is by what I've already explained. I'm just trying to have fun with the video now. And I'm also trying to collect my thoughts here. So the anaerobic zone, if this is your VO2 max level, quick fact, if you are an athlete or if you are fit, your VO2 max level will be higher than someone that is not very fit. The lower that your VO2 max level is, the easier it is to kind of work above that zone. So very maybe low intensity workouts will kick you into this zone above your VO2 max level where you'll be burning ATP as energy. And another quick fact you need to know about ATP is that it burns up very quickly. If you are completely in an anaerobic zone, you've only got about 10 seconds worth of energy before you need to stop what you're doing to recover and basically for your body to make more ATP. Is this making sense? I really hope that it is making sense. I think I've answered the question. The impact on the appetite is because your body, if you're training in the anaerobic zone, you're burning fuel that basically your body has taken from the food that you eat. Your body's going to want to replenish that, and therefore your appetite is going to increase. But here's another great benefit about that is after you've finished your session, if you are working in the anaerobic zone and you're doing things like weight training or resistance training, you're going to be burning calories for hours and hours after you've done that session because you're working above your VO2 max level. If you're working in the aerobic zone, so what the aerobic zone is when you are basically working underneath your VO2 max level and your body is able to burn oxygen as its main energy source. So an example of aerobic training is when you are doing a 10-kilometer run. An example of anaerobic training is when you are doing a 100-meter sprint. Okay? The sprint you can only really keep up for about 10 seconds if you're going 100% flat out. If you are doing a 10-kilometer run, it may take people over an hour to do a 10-kilometer run, depending on your fitness level. It would depend on your VO2 max level. But while you are working out in that zone, so say you're working out for an hour, you were running for an hour for 10 kilometers, most of the energy and the energy that you are burning is going to be you're only going to be burning energy while you're exercising. So let's say, example, it takes you an hour to run 10Ks. You're only really going to be burning energy whilst doing that hour of exercise. Whereas if you do anaerobic training, you are going to be burning calories for hours after you, even if you've done like a 20-minute session, for example. This is why HIIT training has become so popular, because you can burn a heck of a lot of calories in a quick 20-minute, 30-minute session, 45-minute session, for example, and burn more calories than what you would have if you went for a 10-kilometer run. Those are some cool, fun facts about the difference between anaerobic and aerobic training. So VO2 max is the amount of oxygen, the maximum amount of intensity that you can work out whilst still using oxygen as your main energy source. Anything above your VO2 max level, you are going to be predominantly burning ATP as your energy system. If you don't have lots of time to work out and you want to get a muscle building result or a power building result or a strength building result, you're going to want to be working in the anaerobic zone. If you want to get a cardiovascular result in terms of you want to look after your heart's health, or if you want to be running do a marathon or a triathlon or anything like that, you want to be training in the aerobic zone, which basically means you're mostly focusing on working your heart and you're using oxygen as your main energy source. I hope that I've given you some golden nuggets to think about today. I'm going to try to get to another question before we stop. This question is, how do I stop my addiction to biscuits? And in brackets, they put sugar. So you've used the right terminology in this question. Sugar, in my opinion, is an addictive substance. There are studies out there where they have measured the effects of sugar on the body, and it does resemble there's certain principles that do resemble, like it's kind of like being on drugs to a certain extent, just because of the chemicals and stuff that it releases in the brain. Your body literally will crave sugar if it was being a regular part of your diet and then you take it out. So my advice, just being a fitness professional and not a nutritionist or a doctor or anything like that, my advice for you would be that you cut the sugar out for as long as possible. I'm guessing it would take about 2 weeks for it to get really out of your system. And in those 2 weeks, whenever you have a sugar craving, whenever you're starting to feel like, oh my gosh, like I really want biscuits right now, I really want brownies right now, that every time that happens, you have a fruit instead, your favorite kind of fruit, maybe something sweet like blueberries. And whenever you're having something like blueberries and fruit to kind of curb that sugar craving, you eat fat as well. So nuts would be a good example. This will help satisfy your body, because normally when you're having cravings, the two things, well, there's actually three things. The three things that will help satisfy your craving would be a carbohydrate, so like in a fast form that your taste buds are going to enjoy. So like blueberries, grapes, nachi, something like that. You eat a fat as well, which will sustain you and make you feel satisfied for long. So like nuts, for example. And the other thing that I'm not going to recommend that you have with this is fiber. That's just another thing that helps satisfy you and makes you feel fuller for longer. Okay. We've just got a message in saying, Neil, your connection is frozen. I'm sorry if my connection did freeze and you weren't able to interact with me live. The numbers of the people that have been watching is lower than last week, so perhaps my internet connection didn't work so well. But rest assured, guys, I'm going to be posting this video on the feed so that you're going to be able to rewatch whatever you've missed. Okay, so today I've answered, what is the impact on appetite when you weight train and why? I've also answered the question, how do I stop my addiction to biscuits and sugar? I've spoken about aerobic and anaerobic training and also what VO2 max is. Next week, I'm going to be covering what strength and cardiovascular tests that you can do in order to find out what your percentages are so that you can find out which zone to work in depending on what results you want to get from your body. For example, you want to be able to build muscle, look like a fitness model. You need to do, I'm going to tell you which fitness test to do and what percentages to work out at so that you're able to work out in the muscle building zone. Or if you have a strength goal and you want to be able to deadlift 300 kilograms, I'm going to tell you what strength tests to do and then what percentage so that you're working in the correct zone so that you're carrying on getting stronger and stronger each time. That's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate the interaction. Thank you for all the questions coming in. I've had quite a couple of questions this week. Keep them coming. I will get to more questions next week, and have a lovely evening. This is me signing out. Enjoy your week. Let's make it a power week. Last thing, guys, take advantage of the special that we're running. In order for you to, I'm never going to be running such a special like as low as the special has been. It's 399 Rand at the moment for a 6-week fitness program. You get up to 30 workouts. You get 30 workouts in these 6 weeks, up to 30 workouts. You get a nutritional plan, you get a smartphone app, you get me basically coaching you through a 6-week challenge, which would be the foundation of starting a health and fitness journey. We're coming out of winter, guys. You want to be looking and feeling your best. So take advantage of the special, couple days left. I'll see you next week for Tip Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining me.